Okay, welcome again to another episode of Take Foul. It's been a minute, but we have finally crossed the midpoint of the season. We have a very good idea of what these teams look like, how they may play for the rest of the regular season, maybe the playoffs. And the All-Star game is right around the corner. Maybe we will revisit our predictions from preseason at the end of the episode.
No need.
No need to do.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us were, not great, to be honest. But
That was pretty good.
I don't know. Mike, you had like San Antonio in the play-in.
I had
maybe?
this. But I did have say the Thunder were going to be good. You guys know
Fair.
Yeah.
And the Magic were good at the
The
very
Magic were good to
beginning
start. Yeah.
of the season. They've since tailed off a little bit. But I think so. We do have some news from the past couple weeks that we should get to. Should we start with Embiid or should we start with Doc Rivers? Where do you guys want to go first?
Let's start with Doc.
Start with Doc. Okay.
Back
So
in the game.
yeah, so basically, Adrian Griffin is fired when the Bucks are 30-13, and then there's this whole debacle with like CNN Sports, if you guys remember, so it's reported that Doc was an informal consultant to the Bucks, believing some to be like, oh, did this guy just consult them to hire him full time? Essentially, I think it's certainly possible. And then so I guess now Doc is the coach. They lost their first game, but it was against the Nuggets, so I think we can cut him a little slack there. But I guess let's see, Mike, as someone who has been a first-time coach before, the only one of us who has been a first-time coach before, was this a fair thing that the organization did?
No, I mean that's my biggest. They just did Adrian Griffin so dirty. Like they did him filthy. Like I think their team was winning games. Yes, they weren't beating teams by probably the margin they wanted to, but I think that also does speak for like their ability to kind of fight through kind of awkward walls, and also like they're not that necessarily deep of a basketball team. Like it's kind of hard to win a bunch of regular season games if like you're not going to be going into your bench a lot, or very deep into your bench as someone who only has a 6-person rotation. That's pretty fucking tough. But at the same time, it just feels like he was set up to kind of be tossed whenever they wanted to make the change. And it also makes me kind of think how much does Giannis still have to say with like these coaching decisions, because like I feel like if Giannis did like him, like if Giannis liked the guy, he would definitely still be there, I feel like if
Yeah, I mean, Giannis did hire him essentially.
I know that's the thing, like he was his pick and now he's gone. So like I think there had to be like a change in that relationship or something in which because
My sense was that, like, I mean, amongst other more glaring basketball problems like transition defense or like
you get rid of your best perimeter defender over the over the offseason, your defense is going to be pretty take a step back.
I mean, you'll take a step back, but 20th back is a lot considering they have Brook Lopez and Giannis on that team, who are arguably more important for a team defensively than like a point of attack guard. But I think that like it was just that he lost the locker room, like you said, where there's something that shifted, and then Giannis sort of, there were a number of little kind of question mark moments starting even before the season where I guess Adrian Griffin just screamed at Terry Stotts, and Terry Stotts just said, "Fuck it, I'm out." So, my sense is the guy was probably a little bit insecure to begin with. And then
over his head.
Yeah, and then, and like all the players know that he's a first-time head coach too. So I think it's easier to like sort of start questioning, oh, does this guy really know what he's talking about? As opposed to like a more established coach.
But he's been around. He's been an assistant for like NBA teams for like the past 8 years, 9 years. Like it's not like he is like fresh into the league out of like Euroball or something. I feel like I don't know. At the same time, he maybe was trying to make like kind of force his place into it in ways that he probably weren't super healthy locker room wise. But
yeah, they replaced him with a guy that it's a little bit harder to just be like, yeah, he has no standing or precedent in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Like a guy who warrants more respect solely based off his name and like can actually go back when a player or players kind of challenge his authority or his standing.
Like, so there has been a lot of discussion back and forth at the time of the hire. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe they hired Doc Rivers. He's lost 1 million game sevens. He can't close out a series. He's wildly overrated. And then because so many people were saying that, other people sort of got on and were like, hey, this guy actually really knows how to like put a system together and play winning basketball and coach stars. He's actually very underrated. So is Doc overrated or underrated to you?
That's a tricky question. I think given the market that's out there, he's the best person they could have hired in terms of having two established stars and needing a coach who knows how to deal with stars.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of all the Game 7 stuff, he's probably underrated from that dialogue. But, there's been a lot of the counter narratives and whatnot. But I think he's probably who they should have hired maybe to start or just not fired Budenholzer. But, this just reflects really poorly on whoever made the decision to hire Griffin. You can't just hire a coach, be in or go 30-13, then fire him. It's you obviously aren't firing him for what's happening or what has happened record-wise. You just made the wrong personnel choice and misprofiled your team.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do agree. I think it was unfair to Adrian Griffin, but I agree with the decision that they made.
Yeah, it seems like everyone seems to think that they needed to change and that it wasn't working. Everyone from the outside too, and obviously inside the locker room. But
yeah, I mean, okay, but it's have you ever played a pickup game where your team is clearly better than the other team, but the other team just keeps on scrapping together buckets, and then it comes down and you're tied and it's game point, and then you just give it to the best guy on your team, and then he just sort of mixes a dude up and hits a step back to win it. That's just sort of what's been going on. They've been in dog fights with the Pistons and had to come back from behind against the Trailblazers early in the season. On the Doc point, I think the stats are there. The record is speaks for itself. You can't really dispute that. But then you look into it. It's is it really his fault that James Harden and Joel Embiid just shit the bed in Game 7? Yeah, Ben Simmons stops shooting all of a sudden. Yeah. Is that his fault?
I think that's a good point. How many of those teams are necessarily all that much better than teams that lost in those Game 7? You had the Kawhi shot, right? The one that hit off the rim twice.
Yep.
That's just and they went on to win the championship. They the second round. It's not a joke of a round.
It's not like anyone else has done better with the Sixers.
Yeah. But it seems like Nurse is doing a pretty good job, and I think that's also part of why Doc came back as well, because he's like, man, I look really bad right now, and he's got some names. He's got some names in the Eastern Conference, baby.
I mean, what they were usually like around like the second, third seed, right? Like it's not like they did poor. Not like their regular season was bad ever.
No,
you know?
No. But I think there's something to be said about like the motion offense, or their style play with Tyrese Maxey and losing James Harden, who's a good player in his own right. Last thing on this, it was pretty funny how Giannis and Dame were like, I was shocked to hear this happen. Like, I can't believe it. Griff is such a good guy, man. Like, I really wish him the best. Like, this was so shocking to us. Okay, bro. Yeah. We all believe you.
Yeah.
Okay, good transition into Doc's old team, Joel Embiid. So the main kerfuffle around Saturday's game against the Nuggets that Embiid didn't play in was more along the lines of that he wasn't on the injury report. He wasn't even listed as questionable or probable, nothing. Not game time decision, nothing. They're like, he's playing. And then minutes before the game, he's a scratch and is showing up in plain clothes. Hasn't played in Denver since 2019. The last time that he played before that was 2016 against Jokic. Yeah, he has not played in Denver since 2019. And didn't play last year when they were clearly, in the MVP mix against each other. Obviously, they don't, they have hold each other in high regard or whatever, but I think this really sucked for the fans. And then, Mike Malone is like, hey, it's not cool to suddenly scratch some guy off of the...
Yeah, it's against league rules, pretty much.
Yeah. So he's like, there should be an investigation. Mike, was Embiid ducking Jokic?
I say yes and no a little bit. I'm not a big proponent of I don't mind when players sit out. I've said this before, I don't mind players taking nights off. I think they play too many games. We talked about this, right? We've talked about this a lot. And that's always been my stance. But since 2019 not playing in Denver, that's crazy. That just screams fear. It screams I don't want to go out there and get beat by a guy by a lot, and then people be like, oh, this isn't really a conversation. It's clearly a 1-2, and I think that's Embiid's kind of thought process surrounding it a little bit. But also, Denver, Mile High City, maybe he having a hard time breathing. You never know. Could be a number of reasons.
Well, I think there was a report that he was fully able to participate in a USA basketball camp in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Center there.
He's an NBA player, so...
Yeah, I don't know. Look, man, I went to school in Colorado. So did you. You go back and you have to drink a little more water, but no one's fucking.
I fought through it every time.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's fine. Go ahead.
It is kind of crazy that he hasn't played there in 5 years, but at the same time, while it's fun to watch, has anything can you really recall a one-on-one game where you're that decided? It just feels way overblown. They literally played against each other a month ago.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia. I can't really remember a game that is so important where you're yeah, those two squared off in this. And this was a national TV game, but the other 80 games are just as relevant, really. Not,
Okay. Here's where I fall on this. I think Embiid is ducking Jokic. Absolutely. I think it is trash. I think it shits on the fans. I think it's an ABC game. It's on Saturday. It's part of a triple header. It's their biggest partner. It's supposed to have the most amount of eyeballs on it. Embiid throws shit at it. He's throwing shit at it. He doesn't care. Neither do the Sixers. And I think it sucks. I think it sucks that he won't play Jokic in Denver, which has just been part of the discourse all along when it comes to those two. I think that it's weak, and I think, like, I don't know. To me, I tweeted this, but it's like, so there's this 65 game rule, which I want to get into after this, but before this, I was thinking like, oh man, if Embiid doesn't hit that 65 game mark, if he plays 61 games, 64 games, that's going to be I don't really care that it's going to be put the league in a tough spot or whatever, but that would seem like there's some sort of injustice. Embiid is ducking Jokic in Denver. I don't care. I hope he doesn't hit the 65 mark. Actually, I hope he does hit the 65 mark, and I hope he still doesn't get the MVP. And I hope it goes to Jokic, because this was so weak. This was so weak. And I understand that it comes down to the medical staff and the organization and the quants and the load management experts. But you know what? If he really could have played, he should have played. And to me, if there's nothing into it going into the game, then get out there, go play. Whatever.
You may have a little bit of bias being on ABC's and Disney's payroll, though.
Okay, all right. We're not going to have to go into...
I'm just going to say.
No.
I'm just going to say. Yeah, of course, Mr. Mouse is upset, but...
Get him on the fucking court.
Okay, all right. Enough about no doxing on this thing, okay? First of all.
Mike doxes me all the time talking about the Skyline Conference.
You know I
talking
don't.
about.
All right.
There's a lot of teams in that conference.
We're going to have to limit the doxing regardless. So back to the 65 game thing, right? So, as this limit approaches, Embiid can only miss 5 more games, all right?
That's not good. Like, that seems impossible.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely going to miss more than 5 games, and he's certainly on track to do it. There's only been 3 MVP seasons or 4 MVP seasons that have been under 65 games, and I believe Embiid's last one was, I actually don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a different stat proportionally. But Embiid's last year's MVP, he played 66. And then there's it also not only with awards, but it ties into All NBA, which has direct salary implications for these guys. And that's a big reason why Halliburton seems to have been rushed back after his injury, only to re-aggravate his injury again, because he has a really good chance at securing one of those 6 All-NBA guard spots this year, which would be, hundreds of millions of dollars on the line for him. So is this 65 game rule, is it unfair?
I don't like it for the All-NBA or the MVP. Yeah. Like, it seems like most of the time they kind of factor it in enough where
they do.
The
voters.
So it's like,
you would hope they do.
Yeah. For All-NBA especially, it's like if a guy doesn't play as many games, but he's like unreal in that, you could just lower him to like 2nd or 3rd team and just move a guy above him instead of just like making him totally ineligible. So like that seems like a way easier, more natural solution. But the MVP one, I don't know.
Yeah, like when you tie it into that much like money, I feel like that's really, really harsh. Like especially with what happened with Halliburton, that fucking stinks. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Like I originally thought like, well, if you don't hit the mark, you don't hit the mark. Like that's on you. But then like if it is a guy who's genuinely hurt and who's having a good year and he wants to hit that threshold, and then like that's That doesn't
Yeah,
seem
there's
like
a
it's
lot
good
of
for player
context around
safety.
it too, because
Yeah.
Halliburton's not trying to skip games.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
He has everything to play for.
Yeah, so that's the main thing, I think, is that, maybe other guys are sitting games here and there. Halliburton's not, and when he can play, he wants to play, and he's out there, and they clear him too because of the salary implications. So I mean, the 65 game thing has sort of widely been speculated to boost the value of the product on screen because the TV deal's coming up, and when you're negotiating things with the TV executives, the thing is going to be like, okay, look, because the TV executives see, they're like, hey, this major marquee game, none of the guys were playing. Like, what are we really buying here? There weren't even eyeballs on it because these guys weren't playing. So the NBA, is trying to figure out these ways to get players to play, and then this is, a direct result of that. I think Russillo said that.
Yeah, I listened.
Did you
to
hear
that.
this? Yeah, because this is a great point, because it seems it's unfair to Halliburton, right? It's unfair to Embiid and these like select tiers of guys that are super duper in like the upper 5-10% of the league, where it's like this limit is going to limit me from making X amount of money by not making All NBA. But for the rest of the league, the boost of having this rule and the value of the product will increase the TV deal, in theory, and then everyone gets paid more. So
Yeah, he is connecting a few dots.
who knows?
Which, like, he could be right, but he is I understand what he's saying, and like getting a better TV deal and making sure you do anything to do that helps every player in the league as opposed to those guys. But like, there's probably maybe better ways to go about it, and like, I don't know. I agree with the general idea.
I don't think I think the NBA's viewership has been growing pretty steadily without that rule prior. Like this year, they hit like obviously all-time highs with like on primetime games. But they're also hitting more diverse markets that they weren't previously hitting. Like it's up. Like I was reading something about like something around 40-something% with like young Latino people. Like they're hitting markets that they weren't seeing before, which I think is like a big piece of that too. Like I don't think this is necessarily a need if like you still are doing a good enough job. Like I don't know. I think like even without necessarily
It's just
stars
another
playing, it's like
bargaining chip to like get more money, which is what they're trying to do.
This is a bit controversial, but I think the NBA shouldn't change this rule. I think they should stand on their business, and if Joel Embiid doesn't make All NBA, if Joel Embiid doesn't get an MVP, if Halliburton falls out of the All NBA, sorry, it happens.
It is kind of shifting the attention.
Tough luck.
Like, to again make it even like more NBA and individualized though, where like you're choosing to play not necessarily because you want to win, but because you want these awards and the extra contract money.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense that I think all of this is stupid and that people should just play. And like we talked about, Mike, like maybe we should talk about lowering the amount of games to increase the value per game or the meaning per game. And I agree with that. I just think at the current moment it's like there needed to be something done after how bad last year was, the regular season.
Yeah,
and if this is moving the needle in that way, I think they should keep it.
I just think they're putting a Band-Aid on like a gushing wound there. I don't think that I don't think it's a fix that's really like, I think the conversation has to be had about like how many games are necessary. Like the NFL has a great model. Like the NFL has a very, very successful model. Obviously, I'm not saying they only play 17 games, but like each NFL game is like people are watching. Like people are watching. You know, it's like the NBA could move to a path like that, and I think it would be better for player safety, and I do think it would also create a better product.
Yeah, I mean, even with college basketball, I feel like each game matters a ton. And part of it is just the sheer amount of teams and stuff. But like, I don't know. Maybe there could be something to be learned there. Okay, let's talk All-Star. Okay, the All-Star game, I think, was personally for me was probably the worst basketball game I've ever seen in my life last year. Just in terms of the product itself, but I like the conversations surrounding it, so we're gonna talk about it anyway, even though it's accolades. We're looking to another thing that will doesn't have a game limit, but will factor in to the decision making around the 12 slots per conference. Before we get into it, JJ Redick has this like tirade about how they need to expand it to 15 players per conference, and because he's like, there's so much talent, like these guys, it's like a player centric take where it's like, just give him the award. And then his reasoning is that like because there were less teams, the All-Star game's always been 12 players a conference, but there are less teams in the past, so proportionally they should move it up. I disagree. I think it's like I think it's fucking stupid, man. Like it's already hard to play 12 players per team in an entire only a 48-minute game, and you're just gonna add 3 more dudes to it. Like I don't think that's necessary. And I like that it's increased the difficulty with more teams to get on.
You don't have any
those 12.
like bozos in the All-Star game, which you would definitely have with 15.
Yeah, it is interesting though. It's like I don't think there's any bozos this year.
If you had 15 this year.
Oh, like this year?
Oh, maybe in the Eastern Conference you might have a bozo or two this year.
Oh yeah,
if you have 15.
You're gonna get one.
Games.
But like, it is so funny that like when we were in high school and like middle school and stuff, there's some like bozos on those teams, man.
Yeah.
Like
Wally Zerbiak made the All-Star game, but respect to him. Kyle Korver made an All-Star game.
Korver, absolutely. But yeah, should we start in the East then?
Start in the East.
All right, Mike, as the Eastern Conference correspondent here, why don't you go ahead? Well, who are your starters first of all?
All 5.
Let's do your starters first.
All right. My 2 guards. This was tough. The guards are tough. I'm going Maxey and Halliburton. My 2 guards. And then my front court, I think this was way easier. I think it's just Giannis, Embiid, and Tatum. Like, I don't think there's any real dispute in the front court, but I think the back court was a little bit harder.
To me, it wasn't hard to put Halliburton there, I think, just because it's like I think he's leading the league in assists. He's averaging over 20 points a game, having a really insane season for a Pacers team that's, post or pre-Siakam trade was pretty talent depleted, and they've been pretty good. So
yeah, it's like, but like my thing is he's the best guy and like the sixth best team in the East. Like maybe a little bit better now, but like I don't know. Like that was kind of my one issue. I think he's having a good. That's why I put him in there. That was just kind of where my kind of struggle was. So do you have the same 2 then, or same 5?
No, I have. There's one that I'm still deciding on. It's the guard, but I'll go Jalen Brunson and Halliburton, and then Tatum, Giannis, and Embiid. I think Brunson's just like better than Tyrese Maxey, and he's like the best player on that team. I don't think the Sixers need to have 2 starters in the All-Star game, and Maxey isn't like a superstar where he needs to be starting in the All-Star game. Like, he's not playing like that.
Yeah, I had the same team. So we all disagreed with the actual team, which was Damian Lillard instead of Maxey or Brunson. I agree with you. I think he's the best player on the Knicks. And like, I like Maxey. I don't like the Sixers. I really like Tyrese Maxey. But again, it's like the reason they're good is Joel Embiid, and the only reason the Knicks are worth a damn is because of Jalen Brunson. But yeah, I don't know. He really makes that team run, and he's having a hell of a season, I think.
I stand with Becky Hammond, so I couldn't do it.
I mean, I agree with her too, by the way.
You shouldn't have apologized.
Right.
She's not wrong. Like, that was a pretty cold take. Okay, should we snake it then? Should we snake it? Or
Are we doing the whole East, or are we going to starters in the West?
I think we could do the backup 5 in the East, right? And then get to our wild cards. All right, I'll do it. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. That's fine.
Wait.
So we're snaking? What do you mean snaking?
That would be Sam.
That would be me if we're snaking.
Snaking.
Oh, okay. My bad. My fault.
All right.
Snake draft learn.
Right. Guard Maxey. Guard Dame. Forward Jaylen Brown. Forward Julius Randle. Forward Bam Adebayo. Those are my next 5.
Mine's the same, except I had Donovan Mitchell over Maxey.
Okay.
Sam, what did you say yours were again?
I said Maxey, Dame, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo.
Okay. So I had Brunson, Dame, Brown, Adebayo, and
who? Paolo?
Paolo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was some talk about Brown versus Porzingis here, and we all went with Brown. I really thought about putting Porzingis here, but I do think that I don't know. Jaylen Brown's just their like second best scorer.
Yeah,
purely
really
speaking.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot better than I really thought he was going to be.
Yeah, and he's like really started to fit into his role, and I don't know. Porzingis is
Kristaps is also
so
playing.
good.
He also plays very.
I know it's like that was the hardest spot for me, and on principle, I can't have 3 Celtics in the All-Star game, so it was 2, and it's Tatum and Brown, and they've been the core of that team for a while.
They're the 2 most important players.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about the Derek White nonsense, dude?
Yeah, we should talk about the Derek White nonsense. Another hellacious JJ Redick take, dude.
Insane.
Who gives a shit, man? I don't care that like. Sorry that I understand that the advanced stats love Derek White. They loved Derek White last year. They're like, oh, it's Jokic then Derek White. It's like, what is with like more or whatever, like he's like the most efficient player in the NBA. Okay,
I'll give he's a grinder. He is a grinder. I'll give him that. But like,
he's
that does not make you an all-star. That does not make you an all-star.
No,
he's a great role player, dude. He's probably the best role player.
That should take that award.
Yeah, best role player award. Scratch the sixth man award, which has always been a weird award anyway. Make it weirder. Best role player. Okay, so you had Paolo over Julius Randle, Mike.
Fuck the Knicks.
Okay. Who are your wild cards?
Me?
Yes.
Snake draft, Michael. God.
Relax. Bam, and then I guess then Kristaps.
Wait, okay, sorry. Who are your three
Did
forwards?
I have Bam already?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said Bam.
You had
Oh,
Brown, Bam, and Paolo.
Oh, sorry. Mitchell.
Do you have this written down?
And, yes, yeah. Mitchell, and Kristaps. I just had listed names. I didn't have like who was going.
Okay, so you had 3 Celtics on your team.
Yes, I did have 3 Celtics.
All right, fair enough. I'm not gonna like bitch and moan about that. You know, they're the best team in the NBA, and they're like clearly have
So
three.
Who did you leave
all-star
off
caliber
from our list?
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle.
Yeah, Randall.
We all agree except for Randle.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Is it
mine
the
are.
same list.
Well, we'll see, Mike. Maxi and Banchero.
And mine was Donovan Mitchell and Banchero as well. So it looks like we have the same teams in terms of personnel, different orders, but same teams in a set of personnel, except for Porzingis and Randall being switched out, which is okay. Honorable mention, I had Scotty Barnes, Porzingis, Jarrett Allen, who's been having a great little stretch with Evan Mobley and Darius Garland out. And then Jimmy Butler, who only really played, like 30 games. And then, past that, it gets a little bleak into like the Derek White territory, I think.
Yeah. I was mostly debating Banchero or Barnes for my last spot. And
I
so
only have one
Paolo.
honorable mention.
Who's your honorable mention, Mike?
Kobe White.
Great year for Kobe White.
Guy has done the unthinkable. He has done the absolute unthinkable.
Yeah, most improved
Contract
candidate.
to be off this season.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
what
made a believer out
steal.
of the greatest cynics. It's
Wow.
insane what he's done.
Yeah, by the way, I saw a good ass report today that was like the Bulls are looking to stand pat at the trade deadline. It's like sick.
Dude,
Sick.
I thought for a hot minute they're gonna send Levine to Detroit, and that would have been hilarious.
That would have been so funny. It still might happen. It still might happen because no one wants Zach LaVine, except
I
for
don't
the
get why
Pistons.
Detroit would want
So.
him. Like, I don't get it.
It's
Why
to
would
save some
Pistons-
face, bro.
Yeah,
You ever been-
act like
It's
you're
the
trying.
opposite.
You gotta
of what
pretend
they
like you're
should
trying.
do. No,
You ever been so down bad?
not
You're-
in the NBA. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
No.
but like, you know, it's like you ever just have a little cigarette when you're drunk, and you're like, maybe this might take a few years off my life, but Sammy needs a cigarette.
We might have done that after the Wolves.
I'm just saying, you know, sometimes a little injection of energy goes a long way.
No.
Probably bad analogy. Let's go to the West. Unless there are any other honorable mentions you guys want to shout out.
No.
Okay.
Only one.
Let's go to the West. Back to me, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So guards were easy. It was Shea and Luka. The forwards, I went with Kawhi and LeBron, and my center is Jokic. So this only differs Kawhi and KD at with the actual one. Like,
Shea, Luka, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and Jokic.
So I had the same guards as you, Sam. I think the guards are pretty easy. I had Jokic, I had Durant, and then I had Cat, Carl Anthony Towns. Yeah.
Oh.
Carl
Spicy.
Anthony Towns, yeah.
So what I'm noticing here, Mike, is you're someone that really likes valuing like team success in a lot of these decisions.
I think it plays a pretty big role in, like, I don't know. I think that's a pretty big piece of it for me. It's like, yeah.
It's certainly like a subjective, thing that like different voters just disagree on every year,
Like,
which
and
is
like,
part of the fun. But
it's like another thing with Cat though. It's like, I don't know. Like, he's the second best probably player right now on a top 2 team in the West. And then like you got guys like LeBron and KD who like, obviously they're great. They're like maybe better basketball players, but like right now it's hard to say that they're playing all that much better. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Stats wise, LeBron and Durant are probably a little better.
Yeah.
Than where Cat's at right now.
Not winning games though.
No, and especially the
Not winning
Lakers,
games.
man.
Yeah, it was definitely LeBron.
They
Right.
Suns have been pretty solid since Beal has been around, but yeah, I don't know. There's been some
Yeah, I think
bad stretches.
They're like 9-1, and they're like 9-1 in the last 10 though.
Okay, yeah. Scary. I think I went with Kawhi over KD because of team success. I think because the Clippers been so good, and Kawhi's been the reason for that. And then I went with I debated just going with Durant, but I went with LeBron here because I do think like although Anthony Davis might be the better Laker right now, I think LeBron really sort of makes that team even be able to be in the play-in, which is a weird thing to say considering both of them have played like a lot, but so it goes. My glorious king. Your next 5, Mike?
I got LeBron, Davis, and Kawhi for my forwards, and then I got Ant and De'Aaron Fox.
Okay, so you had LeBron, AD, and Kawhi, you said?
And Kawhi, yeah.
Okay.
For my forward. Then Ant and De'Aaron Fox.
All right. Ike?
Ant, Booker, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Gobert.
Okay, so you had Ant, Booker.
LeBron, not Anthony Davis.
Okay.
And then Gobert.
One more time. Your forwards.
Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker,
Okay. I got
Kawhi
those.
Leonard, LeBron James, Rudy Gobert.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. For me, I had Edwards, I had De'Aaron Fox, I had Kevin Durant, I had AD, and then I had Cat. For the last Timberwolves spot, I wanted to go with Cat or Gobert. I think I was been thinking about it all day, and I think I slightly give Cat the edge here because considering where the team was at last year, that Gobert played every game, and obviously he had like different struggles, but a lot of what this team's success has been driven by has been Carl's like efficient play and buy-in and versatility to be able to let someone like Rudy Gobert play alongside him with his shooting and playmaking. So I went with Carl there.
That makes sense, but like
So did you not have Cat on your list?
no. I mean, everything you're saying like is true, but like all of it I think has made Rudy Gobert that much better.
Sure.
Like what he does now is like insanely more effective than what he was doing last year. Like defensively,
You guys obviously.
Huh.
Sorry.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna make it. You guys obviously watch way more Wolves than I do. Who would you say is your best two players after Ant and who?
See, okay, so I would say Ant and Cat just purely based on like you know
talent,
who are
yeah.
two best players. Yeah, because Gobert still really struggles a lot of aspects on offense. But who is the anchor of the number one defense in the NBA? It's Rudy Gobert, you know.
So like important kind of deal is like really
yeah.
Because like you've seen what the Timberwolves, and obviously it's a much younger team with Carl and Anthony a few years ago. But like those teams playing defense was also Jaden was worse, but like that was just horrible. Like, and now to be the number one defense in the NBA, that's massive change and brought upon a lot by him.
And I know we're on a little bit of time. I do want to talk about Chris Finch a little bit. You guys know I was a little bit sold out. I was not bought in on Chris Finch, but I actually really liked his press conference after the loss with Cat.
I mean, he benched him.
Yeah, I thought like that was like a sign of like being dedicated to the right things, kind of like. Even if Cat did play well, I think that's kind of like what a good coach would do. And I don't think you really see that in the NBA very often.
No, you never see someone with obviously 60 points is incredibly rare in itself, but like somebody with 60 points get benched in the last like 3 minutes of a game because they're just ruining everything.
Yeah, I think like there was some pushback on the post game comments about that he's like throwing the team under the bus and like maybe he should have been like coaching better that game or whatever. And then he was sort of asked about that the next day, and his response to that was, well, I told my guys the same exact thing. So it doesn't really matter to me that I'm telling you, the media, about this because it's not like I'm talking behind their back and throwing them under the bus. No, we're in this together. Like this is
like, as a coach, you tell them what you want to be done, and if they don't go do it, then you have to make a change, right? Like, and I think that was kind of like the case. So
yeah, Anthony Edwards said the same thing. Like we were all just trying to feed Cat and being like immature and trying to get him as many points as possible. So I think Anthony Edwards is like perfectly aligned with Finch like 99% of the time. So I think like the entire locker room seems to be bought in.
Yeah, just underestimated Leaky Black, man.
Leaky.
His first 2 free throws ever
to
ice the game. Oh yeah, that sucked. But it happens. Like the Thunder just lost to the I know that was another thing that was like, oh, the Hornets just be inventing NBA players like
no,
bro,
no.
that is North Carolina
legend.
like legend Leaky Black, bro. Wild card. So, last thing. I guess none of us went with Steph in the first 2 guards. Yeah.
No, really good guards.
Yeah.
There's better guards out there currently.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe not talent wise, but the team just sucks. And it is what it is. My first wild card, Steph. I don't know if we're going in order or not. Sorry. And then my other wild card is Devin Booker.
Mine are Steph and De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
Mine are Booker and Chet.
Chet. Okay, so Mike, did you leave LeBron? No, you
left Steph off.
You left Steph off.
Left Steph off. Very disappointed. Yeah.
That's
I mean, they're terrible. That team stinks.
They're so bad, yeah.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I
I also don't want to see them just hucking up threes in an All-Star game, too. That's not that fun to watch. I've seen it already. What is it? Like, it's boring. Like, I don't want to just...
That was the other thing with my decision between Cat and Gobert. I was like, I think I'd rather see Cat in the All-Star game, low key. Like,
it's like I don't want like Steph's just gonna shoot a bunch of uncontested threes. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
He'll shoot some of them from half court though, Mike.
Why do I need to watch that?
Honorable mention, I had Gobert, Lowry Markkanen, Sabonis. This is no particular order. And then Paul George. Past that is long shot, is Harden, Jamal Murray, Chet, J-Dub, and then like Ingram and Zion, I guess, because they're in the play-in mix. But I don't know. Neither have had that great of a season to stand out. The Murray talk, sorry, Jamal Murray, you're not going to be an all-star again, buddy. Like, the guards are just too good. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's an all-star.
How good is Murray if he's not in Denver? Do we think like we plug him in somewhere else? Like you plug him into Indiana. How good is Jamal Murray?
Like in place of Halliburton, or does he
get
to
play
like
switch
with
their
Halliburton?
spots, flip their spots.
Oh well, Halliburton's a better player.
I don't know how good Jamal Murray might be. I don't know, like.
I think he's good. And like I don't. There's a lot that is set up by Jokic, obviously, but there's a lot that he can do with himself. To me, he's probably closer to CJ McCollum than Steph Curry. You know what I mean?
Now?
Huh?
Damn.
Right now, CJ McCollum? What?
What? Is that crazy? I don't know.
That's pretty replace Jamal Murray with CJ McCollum on that Nuggets team in the playoffs? Like,
dude, you think Jamal Murray is closer to Steph Curry than Jamal Murray is to CJ McCollum?
If we're going by like 2K ratings or like player rankings, probably.
That's all I'm saying.
I said yes. I think he's closer to Steph.
Oh, you think he's close to Steph?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. But that's neither here nor there. Any guys that you wanted to shout out?
Shame Michael Porter Jr. is not going to make it again. We need him in there once.
No.
No?
Wait, why?
MPJ? No, I don't think so.
Come on.
That guy's no, not at all.
Your Chet thing's interesting, Mike.
A little bit of a homer pick, like I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, but he has a case as like one of the top 3 guys on a top 3 seed. Maybe they're a 3 seed right now.
You guys ever seen his bitch dad?
His what? Oh yeah, his dad's a weird guy, man.
His dad looks like the guy that Sacha Baron Cohen plays in Who Is America, who's like the lib cuck. You know what I'm talking about? He's got like my child Harvey Mudd.
Yeah. He looks like Skeletor.
All right.
Like Skeletor.
Oh, and also, real quick, Josh Giddey not being tried for any criminal, not being tried as a crime, huh?
I guess the
no one will cooperate.
So that's just a case of him just dropping enough money to just kind of make that go away.
Smart.
Yeah.
No,
It's
good
gonna-
advice.
I mean, yeah. But also, like, so now the NBA is looking into it.
It's too late for them to look into it. Too late.
I assume that, this is usually the way they do things is like they let the criminal stuff play out and then they'll do their own sort of audit of the situation. But, it's like if the police can't have this girl talk, you think she's going to like
Start
talk
blabbing
to Adam Silver? Yeah.
Gonna be another couple checks for her when Silver calls.
Gotten it out of her, but then he would have made her stay quiet forever, dude. Stern would have gotten the truth, but then it would never come to light.
Right, yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap us up, Ike.
Yep. Go Wolves, 45-44 lead over the Luka and Kyrie-less Mavs would be a bad loss.
Bulls
I
are
knew it'd
on
come
fire.
out flat,
Hornets
dude.
right now.
We always come out flat.
Let's wrap it up, Mike. Anything?
What's good?
Anything from you?
Yeah, my
Nah,
girls had a tough
I
loss.
gotta go,
All right,
guys.
yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
go.
of course.
Thanks, though.